Hi, my name is Jennifer Gable, and this is my Who Am I presentation. So when I was reflecting on this, one memory that always makes me laugh and I really like is going back to my very first day in clinical at Parkview Hospital, and I was doing MedPass with a nurse, my first time ever watching MedPass, when the nurse was giving out a medication for to lower blood pressure. And it probably was metoprolol, but I just remember it was a blood pressure medication. And she checked and noticed that the patient's blood pressure was lower than the reference range, and she held the med. And I remember thinking, wow, she's a really good nurse. Like, I was amazed. It was practically magic to me. And then at the end post-conference, I was like bragging, like, you guys will never guess what my nurse did. She checked the blood pressure and held the med. And my clinical instructor kind of looked at me like, she goes, yeah, that's just what nurses do. I remember feeling kind of like overwhelmed by that because I remember thinking like that's a lot of responsibility. So again, I chuckle at that all the time because it's so basic now, But that principle still carries through. For example, just my very, very last clinical shift at Parkview, my last one ever, we had a patient who had some oral meds, but she had no access. So my nurse was like, hey, let's place an NG tube. But I want to check the labs first. And in my head, I thought, just NG2, do I need to check the labs, So then her and the charge nurse came together and they were looking and they noticed this patient had high INR and had portal hypertension. So she could easily have esophageal varices with high INR. This patient could bleed out and die. And I remember just being like really amazed, and I still am, because to put that together and have that nursing judgment to look at a patient as a whole and be able to say, like, no, we're not going to do this order. We're going to hold this NG tube or OG tube placement. It's the exact same principle as what happened first semester, but elevated to a higher level. I remember being so amazed by that. But all of this is to say that I think the nurse I've become, just looking back from that first experience to this one, is someone who doesn't take the small things for granted. I really value the power of nursing judgment, and I feel that I have a really, really important role to play in my patient's care. And I would say that really reflects the Who Am I art that I chose first semester. So first semester I chose for my piece of art to represent who I am as a nurse was a pointillism painting, because each individual point by itself seemed pretty benign. It doesn't seem like it's that influential, but all of those little dots together make this amazing masterpiece. And so, it's easy to say, oh, I'm just the nurse. But no, without you and the whole entire care team, you would just be one little dot on a painting. But when you all come together, it makes something beautiful. And so I think to sum it up, like, I am valuable, I am important, I have a huge impact to play. And, it's just that's who I am as a nurse. I'm important, I'm valuable. And so going on to my biblical worldview, I'm not a very religious person, but I have learned a lot about Christianity and religion through my time here at CBU, and I know it's a really powerful driving force in people's lives. I really value that, and I respect that, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to learn more about that, because even though I may not be very religious, I want to be the best nurse I can be, and being aware and respectful of those cultural needs is very important, so I'm happy about that. And my most important takeaway that I will carry from school into practice is just specifically from being a CBU student, is not being afraid to speak up and being an advocate. There have been some really difficult moments during this program, especially this last year. And as a student, it is really scary and hard to speak up, because there is a power dynamic at play. We do not have the power in this situation. We're students. Faculty have a lot of control over our lives and our careers. And I think just being pushed to confront those fears and to be able to stand up and say, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this decision. I don't feel safe, in a respectful, meaningful way. I think that's been something I've really learned that you're going to have to do, because the patients expect us 100% to do that. We have to be their advocate. So to wrap it all up, I am important, I am an advocate, and I am a culturally competent nurse. That is who I am.